Just wait for me to get comfortable. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of our trying to conceive video. I'm now 25 weeks pregnant, which is just wild how fast it's gone. Since finishing off my last trying to conceive video, there's a lot to catch you up on. The most recent thing that happened, I was getting a lot of joy out of the LH strips, like the ovulation strips. I was getting smiley faces and I thought finally we're getting somewhere, and that's where it kind of left off. Lo and behold, I then discovered that the LH strips were not accurate for women with PCOS. So I was getting a false read on when I was ovulating, which meant that we were timing everything wrong. I was ovulating way later than I thought, which would make sense because my cycles were so long and I was like, why am I ovulating so early and then it's taking forever for my period to come? No. Your period will always come 2 weeks after you ovulate if you do not get pregnant. So that was a light bulb moment for me. Just wanted to come on here. Basically, I was getting really confused why my cycle was going for 45 days. I was like, why am I ovulating around like cycle day 10 when I have a 45-day long cycle? Like, that doesn't really make sense because that means that my luteal phase is about 33 days long. ChatGPT basically come back with, said even though you're using Clearblue Digital and it is detecting a peak LH surge, doesn't necessarily mean that you've ovulated then because you have PCOS. So basically if you've got PCOS, you can have LH surges multiple times throughout one cycle, but you'll only ovulate truly once. So yes, I might have a peak around day 11 and then maybe I have another peak around between day 24 and 28. And then that's when I actually truly ovulate. And then ChatGPT has given me the advice to monitor my basal body temperature, because your basal body temperature rises only truly after you've had a real ovulation. So I then was like, okay, I can't use LH strips. I need a way to figure out how am I and when am I ovulating so that we can time things, especially with my cycles being so long and unpredictable. Also needed to figure out, am I even ovulating? Back to the drawing board. So I went out and got myself a basal body thermometer. Look what arrived today. This is my ovulation thermometer, which I'll be able to start using tomorrow morning. You take your temperature every morning when you wake up. It's not just like a normal regular thermometer, you have to have the basal body one, which gives you the two numbers after the decimal point, so it's a very accurate reading. So under your tongue every morning when you wake up, like within the first 5 seconds of waking up. So I'd just have mine like lodged under my pillow, I'd grab it out, pop it in, and you'd have to wait 30 seconds for it to beep. Then you read it, I would pop it into my app, record my temperature, and then it would make a pattern. And after you've ovulated, your temperature will rise and it will stay rised for 2 weeks or 14 days afterwards. And then it drops when your period comes. However, if you are pregnant, it'll just continue to rise. The only thing about recording your basal body temperature is that it doesn't tell you when you're going to ovulate, it's only after the fact. So I needed something that was going to let me know prior to. But in the meantime, what I also did was change my diet, because I love food, okay? I'm not going to beat around the bush with that one. I love food, I love sugar, I love carbs, I love all the food that's really bad for you, because that's like the food that tastes the best, right? So I was like, I need to be realistic. How am I going to change my diet but still enjoy the things that I love? That's what brings you joy, especially in a time where you are struggling with infertility and you just want like having some sweet treat, some food, a nice meal that was, yes, carb rich, brought me so much comfort and joy. So it was like, I don't want to cut these out of my life completely because it's one thing that brings me happiness. So what I did do was I discovered a podcast who was actually a New Zealander, Claire Goodwin. I'll find the podcast, I'll show you it. PCOS Explained. I learned so much while tuning into this podcast about PCOS and what to do, and I learned a lot about having protein in the morning is really important for those with PCOS to help balance your blood sugars and regulate your hormones. all that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, I'm vegetarian, there's probably not a lot of protein going into my diet. So I thought, well, what's realistic for me to actually get a high dose of protein in the morning? So I started buying protein powder and blending it through a smoothie for myself in the morning with some chia seeds, some Greek yogurt because that's high in protein, just a bunch of that kind of stuff. I'll insert some footage here. Today I bought a NutriBullet so that I can start making smoothies. I've bought some mixed berries, some protein yogurt, which I think is vanilla flavoured, more bananas, some whey protein in banana honey milkshake flavoured, pre-prepared chia seeds. I can already smell this. It smells delightful. Yum! Why haven't I started this sooner? What? Okay. This is exciting. That is delicious. I'm actually enjoying eating healthy and I'm really hoping it brings results as well. I've learned that PCOS is not actually cysts around your ovaries. PCOS is a condition where your blood sugars and your insulin levels are like the main thing of play here. Insulin resistance means that when you intake sugar, it's not going to all the places it needs to go to, therefore your body like needs more, and so you crave more sugar, you crave more carbohydrates. So I've cut back my sugar, I've cut out fizzy drinks, I've cut out unnecessary sugars that I do not need to be eating. I've cut back majorly on carbohydrates, so I now plan to have good fats, fiber, protein, nutrients that I need, iron. Smoothies in the morning with like chia seeds, berries, protein powder, Greek yogurt, have them like every morning, and if not that, like avocado on sourdough or rye bread with tomatoes and eggs and mushrooms and spinach. Having really nutritious breakfasts and like nutritious lunches and meals, and I've made myself a list now that is making me feel like it's easy. Like, so I think when something doesn't feel easy, there's resistance, like you just put it off. But now that I've made it feel easy and exciting, and like I'm like geared up to like change this narrative for myself, I just feel like it's going to bring results. Now I'm on day 54 of my cycle, 55 maybe, and I need this cycle to come to a close so that I can move on to the next one. My body's probably just like trying to ovulate, and that's what happens with PCOS. Like all your hormones like gear up to ovulate. Basically they gear up to go out on their night out, and then all of a sudden something happens and they don't end up getting to the club, which is an analogy for the ovulation doesn't quite happen. So then it gears up again to try and do it the next week, and then the next week, and then the next week, and then so you just end up with this long cycle of forever being in this follicular phase of your hormones trying to ovulate for you, and that is what I'm currently going through. It is exhausting, to say the least. Anyway, I do highly believe that these protein smoothies helped me in a lot of ways. So what I'm getting at here in this video is that there wasn't one thing that like helped, but I think it was a multiple of things. Like I finally got to this stage where my cycles were more regulated after everything I had been through in video 1, and I was like, okay, I feel a little bit more in control. We went to a fertility specialist because I finally got to this stage. Like we had one booked before my miscarriage, and I thought, you know what, we're not going to go back to this fertility specialist because we did get a positive pregnancy. We'll just give it a couple more goes and, you know, see how we go. Got to that stage, had a couple more cycles, and was like, right, we're still not getting anywhere. I was getting impatient. I might have already inserted the fertility specialist footage, but if I haven't, I'll insert some here. Although it is now Thursday, the day of the fertility specialist, I'm really excited for this appointment and to get more of an insight into what's going on. Obviously I'm on metformin and I think that's making me ovulate. I'm not 100% sure. But I just come on here and update where I'm at this week, because I don't know, something didn't feel right when we walked away from that appointment. Something just didn't feel right in my body. She gave us this little folder of stuff that we need to go away and do, which, cool, great, but it's a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of stuff like getting an ultrasound, something I've had done twice already, and getting an iron infusion, even though they haven't even checked my levels at the moment, just didn't sit right with me. She wants me to get my tubes flushed, which costs like $1,000. Given that like a couple of cycles ago we had a positive pregnancy, I think it's just a little bit like too much. Like all I really wanted was to go in and for her to prescribe me on some sort of medication that's going to help further than what the metformin is or something like that. But no, she just gave us a whole lot of complicated tasks that feel a little bit too. I will book an appointment with my GP. I will get her to check over my vitamin D levels, my iron levels. I might get the blood test that this lady wanted me to get, which is karyotype, CF, SMA, fragile X, prolactin, whatever the fuck that means. So I'm gonna go to the GP, get those levels checked, get that checked, and also ask her if she can prescribe me letrozole to induce an ovulation, because GPs can prescribe it anyway, and I thought for some reason that they couldn't. I got my medication yesterday. It had arrived. It's not actually, I say medication, it's a vitamin basically with a bunch of vitamins to support trying to conceive when you have PCOS. I'm hoping that taking these alongside the metformin might be all I need. Big orange pills. So if anything positive come out of that meeting with the specialist, it'll be these little fellas here. I went with the fertility specialist and she prescribed me, basically it had CoQ10 and minoxidil in it, which were like things I've seen on TikTok. People that have PCOS highly suggest using these supplements when trying to conceive. And so this fertility boost pill that she gave me had these ingredients inside of it. So I was like, okay, this is good. I'm taking these as well. So I started taking that every morning. I was at the fertility specialist. I was already on a very long cycle and I was like, when is this cycle going to end? Like it felt like it was going forever. I just got let down a lot at the fertility specialist because she wanted to start at the drawing board and just like retest everything, do everything. I'm like, oh, but I've already done all this. So I felt really kind of like deflated. So the only good thing that I believe that I got out of that appointment was CoQ10 minoxidil that helped. So I went to my doctor and she upped my dosage of metformin. She's like, you know what? Last time you got pregnant was when we started giving you metformin. Maybe you just need like a spike. Today after work, I went to my doctor and I spoke to her about how the fertility specialist went the other week. Started with, I'm on metformin, obviously worked with me in the past. This cycle, however, is 65 days long. So there's something just not quite working and I'm starting to get a bit impatient. And then I asked, you know, like, do you think letrozole could be the next point of action for me? And my doctor pretty much kind of said, let me look into letrozole because I've never prescribed it personally and didn't feel like she felt secure enough to kind of give it to me. Like she didn't have enough information about how to take it and if she needed to monitor it or, you know, be there actively guiding me or anything like that. So she just didn't want to prescribe something she didn't know much about. So what she has done, she has upped my dosage of metformin and hopefully that will help. I've also gone for blood tests today. I got my prolactin checked, I've got my iron and vitamin D checked, and genetic X, something that used to cost like $400 but now is funded by Medicare, so it cost me $0, which was fantastic. So I've had those things checked. I did tell her about how I have been booked in for an iron infusion with my specialist based on my levels with her last year. She was kind of like, how can she use the levels from October 2024 for this current, like, for thinking that you need an iron infusion plus your levels were at 57, so you don't, like, that doesn't really qualify for an infusion. And I was like, that's what I was thinking. So she's checking that for me. And so safe to say, I'm not moving ahead with the specialist. I'm not going to go to any of those appointments. My doctor also said you've already had an ultrasound, you don't need to go for another one. Just thought I'd update you on my basal body temperature. It's the 16th of April. See how there's like a massive dip and then a massive rise, and then my temperatures have stayed much higher than the past ones, like they've gone up. This morning, like it was either going to continue where it was, go up or drop. So if it goes up, that indicates that you might be pregnant, and if it drops down, it means that your period is on its way. So I feel as if my period's on its way because I am 12 DPO. I didn't even think I was going to ovulate. I honestly just thought that this drop was my period coming because I'm at cycle day 73. Like, this is obviously with PCOS this happens, but yeah, I just wasn't expecting to actually ovulate, so we weren't prepared to create a baby. I finally got my period for that cycle that I was stuck in. I think it was something ridiculous. Like, the new cycle started and I was like, yes, this is great. Today is a Tuesday morning and I am currently off work because I got my period yesterday morning. It was an 84-day cycle, and let's just say I had yesterday off work, today off work. I was up last night like every 10 minutes in so much pain. I even like nudged Salah awake at like 3 a.m. and was like, I'm in so much pain, I don't know what to do. And I was just I curled up in a ball and like he just rubbed my back. And then I eventually like laid flat on my back and must have gone to sleep at like 3:30. I feel very good that my period has come because now I can start a new cycle, and I have ordered the Fern tests. The bed used to be facing this way into the mirror. Very annoying with the window behind your head. And especially going into winter, we thought it's probably good not to be against the window. So yeah, I actually quite like it. Curious too if my basal body temperature dropped. It did. In fact, it dropped a couple hours before I got my period. With PCOS, hormones are all over the place, estrogen's everywhere. Readings are not accurate with the LH strips, as I learned. So I discovered, I had a friend that was using the Fern tests. This is the Fern test. So it just comes like this. It's called Maybe Baby. It's got a light in the bottom and you look into, it's got a microscope. You put a dab of your saliva on it, and when it dries, it'll crystallize into either like a spot, like spots, or it'll crystallize into ferns or like icicle patterns. And when it's icicle patterns and ferns, you know then that that's when you are likely about to ovulate. So you can see the fern pattern. See there, the fern kind of looks like icicles. So that's what happens when your estrogen rises, and that kind of lets you know that you're in your fertile window. This is the other day, and you can see it's all just spots. So that's what it does when you're not in your fertile window. A theory that my doctor and I came up with was, okay, because I have PCOS, it might come up with ferns and not be an accurate ovulation. However, just act as if, like anytime you see ferns or crystallized patterns, act as if it's like an ovulation time. So that really did help me. I thought like if the Maybe Baby didn't happen, the fact that I was monitoring my basal body temperature was going to tell me if it was an accurate ovulation. So using both of those methods with PCOS worked for me. Like, it made me feel like I was in control for once. I have just seen my first ferning on my Maybe Baby. This morning it's come up with a few ferns on one side, so that means that my estrogen is rising. But obviously with PCOS, it doesn't necessarily mean that I am in my fertile window. You never know what one is going to be the true one. So this is why this works far more efficiently than LH strips for people with PCOS, especially because it's a one cost. So you buy it once and then you have it for life. Like, I don't have to keep buying anything or anything like that. Once you've got it, you've got it, and you just clean it every morning and you just keep doing it. So in unison with my basal body tracking. I'm using Maybe Baby. I highly recommend using, for women with PCOS, a mix of Maybe Baby, which I could not find in Australia or New Zealand. They used to sell it at the Chemist Warehouse, but I had to order this online and it was shipped to me from London. From London. What, like UK? This is the basal body temperature. I thought I'd just show you this while I'm at it. So turn it on under the tongue and then it beeps and it gives you a reading. Highly recommend these for women with PCOS whilst tracking ovulation, and to act as if every time you see crystals that it is a real ovulation, and then obviously this will confirm whether or not it was a real ovulation. So I had my new dosage of metformin. I was on the stuff that the fertility specialist gave me. I was using both of these babies. I had already been having protein shakes every morning and just felt in a really good place. I'd cut out fizzy drinks. I was eating like mostly foods that were like rich in like vegetables, and I just kind of changed everything because I just started to get so determined. Like I was like, I need this to just happen for me. Voila. Happy Monday morning. Fertility boost. I have just been on a run with Frankie. Lunch. Just a little bit of light cream cheese. Homemade pesto I made yesterday. And a couple of cherry tomatoes. Anyway, then my basal body temperature stayed risen, and as I told you before, when it stayed risen, it's like indicative of a pregnancy. So I was like, right, I'm gonna test. And I think I started to get reflux a lot. I was out having sushi the night before with my friends Alex and Sandra, and I was like, I have bad reflux, but tuna and sushi does give you reflux, but like this was next level. So the next morning I felt like a weight in my uterus too, like I don't know how to describe it, and I was like, I just have a feeling. And I just took a test. I didn't even film it because I was so used to filming and getting negatives, and I was just like, you know what, it's probably not going to be positive because I'm so used to not having positives. It was positive. So on the cycle that I got pregnant on, I ovulated around day 23 of my cycle. And using this was so good because it just gave us an indication of what was going on with my hormones. And the first cycle using that Maybe Baby was the cycle I got pregnant on. How wild is that? When I tell you, like, when you have been through almost 2.5 years of trying to conceive and taking tests and just being like deflated and grief stricken and heartbroken every single time, like you just start to think it's never going to happen, like it's not going to happen for me. You get in this really like downward spiral. Thought it would have already happened since my loss, and it hasn't, and it's just, it's hard, and I feel like I can't even talk to people because no one really understands what the fuck it's like. But you know, you don't know what it's like until you're in it. Just expected to go about every day when 2 years ago I was ready to become a mum, and I'm still not, and it's just such an empty, lonely feeling. It just feels like impossible. It feels like out of reach again, and I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like it's gonna happen this cycle, it's gonna happen this cycle, but you think that every time and then it doesn't, and it's like fucking kick in the teeth. I feel ripped off that this is my journey, PCOS, and that no one around you truly knows how you feel and how lonely it is, because it's not only the whole I don't know what's going on with my body, it's the seeing that other people have normal experiences and, you know, just have like a normal ovulation and a normal regular cycle and get pregnant easily, and you feel like there's something wrong with you. So for anyone also in my boat, you're not alone. You are not alone. I'm going through it as well. It's just also the quiet thoughts of, am I ever going to ovulate? Am I ever going to have a baby? Is this going to be my reality? Am I not going to have a family? Which is my highest values in life, is having a family. And the one thing that I want in the world, like everything else I don't give a fuck about right now, am I ever going to have that? And then it starts to feel very empty and lonely and hollow. I'd come on here and be real about my experience because this is a reflection. This is my Friendly Elizabeth Diaries, and it's not a diary, it's not a true vlog without true reflections on my thoughts, my feelings, and I just know hopefully it will help anyone else out there that is going through the pain of navigating PCOS while trying to conceive. And obviously, like, I'd have days, like, I would feel hopeful, I would try to remain hopeful all the time, but it was very hard. Like, it is one of the most isolating things to go through. So making these videos, I just want to like share my knowledge, share my story, make you feel like it is possible. Do the things that are going to make you feel good about yourself, feel healthy, feel like you're in control. But get second opinions if you don't feel like you're getting the right information or the right diagnoses for what's going on with yourself. I was finally, that cycle, when that cycle started, everything I'd kind of lined up, and I had so much hope in that cycle too, and it's just like I'm in disbelief every day that this is where I'm at. And like I'm at 25 weeks now. Like, it has just gone so fast, and obviously we've moved from Australia back to New Zealand now, and life just feels so different. Like, I look back at all this footage and I'm like, wow. Another random side note thing that we actually did as well was move our bed around. Like, we had it in front of the window, we just didn't have it the other way, like in front of the wall. We just didn't think the feng shui would suit. But then when we did change it and I like cleaned it up and made it all nice, it felt so much better. And I don't know if you're a believer in feng shui and all that kind of stuff, but it just felt like the energy changed in the room. And we did that literally the day we did that. I got my period from the end of that long cycle, and I had the worst period pain ever that night, like the first night that we had moved the bed. And then I got pregnant that cycle. Still very much a pinch me moment. Now we're having a beautiful baby boy due in February 2026, which is like 3 months away. It's insane. We're moving back into our house next month, which, yeah, so exciting. We're able to set up the nursery and do everything because we've just landed at mum and dad's after, you know, coming back from Australia. Stayed here for a while the tenants, you know, are still in our house until they move out, and, you know, getting ourselves on our feet again. I'm so happy that I get to finish it on a really positive note, and hope that, like, if you are someone watching that has PCOS, that this helps you in some way, and or just someone that has like fertility struggles, that this brings you some hope. Because I used to be one of those viewers that were like watching other people's success stories thinking like, I don't know if this will ever happen to me, but it would bring me hope. So thank you for watching. All the baby dust. Bye.